In the headlines, top executives of Creed, the Chief Operating Officer and the Chief Executive Officer, both resigned from the project. Over 100 emergency shelters for the 2020 hurricane season. And smokers warned their habit increases their vulnerability to COVID-19. I'm Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
Away $30,000 in cash, 2 bags of money plus a grand every Friday.
Every day, and now we're making Fridays great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up.
Top up.
$10 or more.
Sign up.
Just switch to Flow.
Get a plan.
1 gig or more. If you wanna win cash galore.
With Flow.
Win a bag of money.
Cash out.
Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, Dominica's climate resilience project is on track despite the resignation of 2 top executives of Creed. Julian Morris has that story.
The Climate Resilience Execution Agency of Dominica, Creed, was created to chart the way forward for Dominica becoming the world's first climate resilient country following the devastation caused by Hurricane Maria. According to a press release from the Cabinet Secretary on Wednesday, government confirmed that the Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Colin Skaith, resigned on the 31st of May 2020 after serving notice on 24th January, and the Chief Executive Officer, CEO Badwill, has also resigned and will be demeeting her post on the 31st of July. The release went on to say the resignations were personal decisions and will not disrupt the fulfillment of the mandate of Creed. Government has already begun the recruitment process to fill the post of COO, and it is expected that a CEO will be in place before Dr. Badwill leaves. Since the post-hurricane declaration of its vision in 2017, government has set itself on the path to resilience with the achievement of 3 milestones to date, namely the development and the completion of a National Resilience Development Strategy 2030, the establishment of the Climate Resilience Execution Agency for Dominica, December 2018, and the production of the Dominica Climate Resilience and Recovery Plan, May 2020.
In other top stories, 114 emergency shelters for the 2020 hurricane season. Local Government Commissioner Glenroy Tuse, who is also chairman of the NEPO Subcommittee for Emergency Shelters, says despite the number of proposed emergency shelters, he is still pushing the neighborhood approach in light of the COVID-19 pandemic.
While we are comfortable with the 114, but we are bearing in mind that there are some situations where we may have to increase our capacity or find alternative additional shelters to serve a number of areas, and that we are doing. One of the things overall we are trying to encourage is the neighborhood approach, and that would help us in great respect. So if we've got the neighborhood approach where people assist each other, you can take families, friends, and loved ones, that would certainly enhance our capacity, particularly as it relates to COVID-19.
As a result of the COVID-19 outbreak, new measures are being implemented at the emergency shelters in order to prevent the spread of coronavirus within the facilities.
We are looking at mandatory wearing of masks. So once people access the shelters, they are going to be requested to wear the mask at all times. We are looking at the whole question of the hygiene protocols of washing your hands frequently, disinfecting the place, ensuring that the shelter is kept clean at all times, and all of those things. Because, as I said before, yes, we're in the hurricane season, but we're also fighting COVID-19, and so they both can create and pose tremendous challenge for us as far as the management of our shelters are concerned. So we have developed those guidelines, and we are looking forward to the active engagement of the population.
Dominicans who will be seeking shelter over the next few months are being reminded to play their role in the fight to keep the COVID-19 numbers down during the 2020 hurricane season.
We are fighting a monster called COVID-19, and we have to do that collectively. And in our shelters, we can do that by adhering to the protocols that will be established in the shelters, to adhere to the guidelines that has been established as far as shelter management is concerned.
In other developments, a series of community training to better prepare vulnerable areas for the 2020 hurricane season. This series of community engagements was undertaken by the Dominica Red Cross as it plays its role in getting the country ready for the hurricane season. Community disaster response teams were established in 5 villages around the country.
The Dominica Red Cross, as part of its preparedness activities for this hurricane season, continues to work with our vulnerable communities. Recently, we have established community disaster response teams in some of our communities like Soufriere, Scottshead, Gallia, Wharton Wavern, and Marigot. These teams have been trained as response personnel for their communities, and they were equipped with the necessary tools for preparedness and response.
Director of the Dominica Red Cross, Sandra Charter-Roll, says the village councils were also roped in on the project to help with disaster response in their areas.
We have also presented to the village councils tools to assist in their preparedness and response for any eventuality in their communities, and that would include their community disaster plans, their hazard maps, the wheelbarrows, pickaxe, shovels, the necessary tools that they would need. As part of the program, we have also installed early warning systems in these communities, and the residents have been trained to monitor the equipment and to report on their findings.
Provisions were also made to reach people at all levels so entire families could be better prepared to respond to disasters.
We have also updated our family disaster plans to include biological hazards, which will look at infectious diseases, and these plans will be distributed to families, which would aid in their preparedness and response to any emergency or disasters.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Avec flow, gagnez l'argent, on partit l'argent avec flow. Gagnez l'argent, on gros sac l'argent. C'est juste ça pour gagner un gros sac l'argent avec flow. Animez on top up, sign up, quittez yo, et venez joindre flow. It only gets better with flow.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Welcome back. The World Health Organization's regional director for the Americas believes the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed a lot of deficiencies in our health system. Dr. Carissa Etienne believes the low level of investment in health makes countries vulnerable and ill-prepared for situations such as the current coronavirus pandemic.
COVID-19 has exposed the critical weaknesses in our health systems, the inadequacies of our social protection systems, and the inefficacy of approaches to public health. The sustained and persistently low levels of investment in health systems over time has impacted our capacity to respond to COVID-19, while at the same time ensuring continuity in the provision of essential health services. A piecemeal approach to social protection, including in health, has meant that the poor and most vulnerable have been most negatively impacted by COVID-19. Further, our public health emergency preparedness and readiness capacity has been found wanting, as we have not built the necessary capacities in the essential public health functions at the national level.
Dr. Etienne says our health systems of the future must be responsive, adaptive, and inclusive.
A renewed political commitment, together with a corresponding investment, is required to build resilient health systems, ensuring universal access to health and universal health coverage. Additionally, a new and more profound degree of policy integration will be required in health and social development so as to ensure universal social protection and universal health. Our countries must effectively respond to the COVID-19 pandemic in order to ensure that the fundamentals for an economic recovery are in place. This is because the health of the people is at the foundation of a nation's wealth. COVID-19 provides a stark reminder that when we invest in health and health systems, we keep our people safe, we keep our people well, and we keep our economies strong.
Dr. Etienne says when we guarantee access to health and social protection for everyone, we reduce inequality and build the foundation of a more resilient society in the future. A warning to smokers from the Minister for Health that this habit places them at greater risk for COVID-19 in its severest form. The Health Minister issued the warning ahead of World No Tobacco Day on Sunday.
For years, the tobacco industry has developed aggressive strategies and tactics, targeting the youth as an emerging and vulnerable market for its addictive tobacco and products. Tobacco is one of the major risk factors for developing non-communicable diseases like cardiovascular disease, cancer, diabetes, hypertension, and respiratory disease, which accounts for the top 5 causes of morbidity and mortality in the population. More importantly, right now, studies have shown that smokers have a higher risk of developing severe case of coronavirus, and people with comorbid conditions are at higher risk of developing severe complications when affected with COVID-19. As a member state, Dominica will adopt the WHO global campaign to demonstrate how young people can be empowered to take control of their health and reject tobacco addiction.
The minister said it was the responsibility of all stakeholders to protect the health of the youth, both smokers and non-smokers, from tobacco smoke and tobacco products. He urged the youth to take control of their health and build a bright future. And churches were allowed to reopen their doors last weekend, but there are a number of social distancing guidelines which must remain in place going forward. Chief Environmental Health Officer Tassie Thomas outlined some of them.
The clergy or the minister shall be responsible for the strict implementation of these guidelines. So the onus is on the minister, the clergy, whoever the head of the church is. The adherence to social distancing or physical distancing of the 6 feet for your congregation is critical. People of same household are allowed to sit together. Okay, so if there are persons coming to church, like 3 people coming from a family, they are allowed to sit together. There is no need for social distancing for these people. But once you are from different household, then you have to maintain that 6 feet distance. The number of congregants allowed will be determined by the ability to maintain the social distance of 6 feet. So what you're saying there is that you have a small church. Your sitting might be, your benches might be, let's say, for example, 6 feet long. You don't call overnight and ask whether, oh, my church is small, whether I can have 2 people sitting at a bench and so on. No, that will not be allowed. You have to maintain the 6 feet distance at all times.
Thomas says during a church service, no one is exempt from the social distancing guidelines, which also make provision for receiving of tithes and offerings.
Ushers should be available to provide direction so as to maintain the 6 feet social distancing. All congregants to wear masks upon entering, and all persons should be allowed to have their hands sanitized at entry and exit. Traditionally, we have the greetings of hugging and handshaking. This will not be allowed, shall not be allowed. Okay? No passing of collection/tithe offering baskets from one person to the next, and it is left to the minister or the clergy to determine this one.
With love, when a bag of money cash out, get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From
Yo, check this. Flo is giving away $30,000 in cash.
Oh, yeah.
2 bags of money plus $1,000 every Friday.
with Flow is better every day, and now we're making parties great. That's 3 ways that you can play. So listen up.
Top up,
$10 or more.
sign up,
Just switch to Flow.
get a plan
1 gig or more. If you wanna win cash galore.
with Flo.
Win a bag of money.
Cash out.
Get a bag of money. What you gonna do with a bag of money? Yeah. From Flow.
So top up, get a plan, or switch now to win. It only gets better with Flo.
Flow terms and conditions apply.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. Top executives of Creed, the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Executive Officer, both resigned from the project. Over 100 emergency shelters for the 2020 hurricane season. And the smokers warn their habit increases their vulnerability for COVID-19. Feel free to access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis. And to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.